And that'll happen automatically because I am putting pro-life justices on the court.
We must take a stand against abortion!
300 million in Planned Parenthood has got to absolutely stop. It is a subversive organization now, and we've got to balance the budget, and that should be the first thing to go.
In the 1800s, abortion was a risky practice. Without medical advancements, the danger of performing one, even with the help of a medical professional, resulted in high mortality rates. In the 1880s, major professional doctors in the American Medical Association pushed to outlaw abortion. Their aim was to disregard their competitors who performed abortions, labeling them as unofficial doctors. By 1910, abortion was criminalized in all but one state. Until Roe v. Wade in 1973, back alley abortions were the only way for women to receive this type of health care. The methods were unsanitary and often dangerous, breaking the amniotic sac using a coat hanger, pumping the body full of toxic substances like Lysol or plant poison, purposely overdosing on over-the-counter drugs. In 1973, a Supreme Court case, Roe v. Wade, entered the field out of Texas. The court, ruling through the right to privacy, gave women the right to have an abortion.
Good evening. In a landmark ruling, the Supreme Court today legalized abortions. The majority in cases from Texas and Georgia said that the decision to end a pregnancy during the first 3 months belongs to the woman and her doctor, not the government.
This case did not, however, absolve the extent to which states can regulate the practice. As expected, more conservative states continually attempted to regulate the time an abortion can be performed in, and place an emphasis on the right to life for the unborn fetus. The ability for states to limit abortion access was reaffirmed in 1992 with Planned Parenthood v. Casey. While Roe v. Wade was upheld, this case ruled that as long as an undue burden is not placed on women seeking abortions, then they can restrict general access to them. This tied in abortion legality with trimester limits and fetal viability. Today, the main provider of abortion in America is done by Planned Parenthood. Originally formed as a national birth control organization in the 20s, Planned Parenthood became a strong advocate for abortion rights throughout the 50s, 60s, and 70s. A national supporter of reproductive health, Planned Parenthood continuously lobbied the Nixon administration for family planning services and employer-provided health care. Following Roe v. Wade, they became the #1 provider of abortion services in America, drawing the ire of the conservative right, Christians, and anti-abortion activists alike. When you hear the name Planned Parenthood, it is more than likely that the subject of abortion comes to mind as well. But Planned Parenthood still remains focused on other healthcare services, especially for low-income women and men. Sex education, birth control, breast examinations, family planning, cervical cancer screenings, pregnancy testing. Planned Parenthood hosts an eclectic foundation of healthcare services for the communities in which it resides in, and is key to treating or educating its users about STDs and other ailments. In July 2015, the Center for Medical Progress released a series of shopped and heavily edited videos which falsely portrayed officials of Planned Parenthood as selling aborted fetus parts for personal gain. These videos were supplemented with videos of miscarried babies and other misleading videos to shock or disgust the viewer. The amount of play these videos got on mass media was excessive.
Planned Parenthood negotiating prices for fetal tissue. These controversial videos have prompted Congress to once again attempt to defund Planned Parenthood.
The abortion part of Planned Parenthood is bad. You got to stop them. Let them reopen as Planned Parenthood 2 and don't provide the services and then give them to.
And after it came out that these videos were doctored, their public image was further damaged, and a push for defunding Planned Parenthood was brought into the spotlight like never before.
Would you vote to defund Planned Parenthood, yes or no?
Yes, I think it's a disgrace.
It is.
And the answer is I would vote to defund.
Okay.
Not only slander, but violence has also beleaguered Planned Parenthood. The murder of 2 receptionists in 1994, the murder of a doctor in 1998, and most recently, a shooting at a Colorado Springs center in 2015, which left 3 dead. Sadly, this helpful organization has received terrorist-like threats and violence.
Could you add the babies that are supposed to be aborted that day? Could you add that to the list? Seal the truth, huh?
But also
kill the babies. That's what Planned Parenthood does.
In order to get further insight on the situation Planned Parenthood faces, we have contacted Susan Yolen, the Vice President of Public Policy for Southern New England's branch of Planned Parenthood. We hope to get an insider view on the actual ordeal they face. Do you believe that the recent slander against Planned Parenthood, like that in July 2015, has permanently damaged your image, and do you believe it can be repaired?
In this case, the allegations that were made a year and a half ago or so were really disproven. So to try and, entrap Planned Parenthood falsely into some sort of allegations is just not working for our opponents. And if anything, I would say that all of this kind of thing results in an outpouring of support, frankly, for Planned Parenthood. So, no, I don't think that they have either temporarily or permanently damaged our image, except in the eyes of those who don't agree with us anyway. If folks want to do harm to Planned Parenthood, they ought to think of another strategy, because these do not work.
While unlikely in Connecticut, Planned Parenthood has been defunded in other states across the nation. What repercussions does this have in the community when Planned Parenthood is unable to continue its usual services?
Well, actually, I would say in the current environment that we are in, however, your assumption that this is unlikely in Connecticut is actually wrong. When the Congress acts, and I don't know if you saw Speaker Ryan tweeted yesterday that
he said that he would defund
Planned Parenthood, that's going to come through Congress, and so there is a lot of federal funding at risk right now, and we're staying closely tuned into what happens next and what we can do to fend off that threat. But I think it's not hard to find, if you do some looking online, some of the repercussions for not funding Planned Parenthood. And one of the things that our mission requires us to do, really, is to be in communities, to have health centers in communities where we reach the underserved. And we are sometimes located in communities where other providers simply don't exist, or other providers that accept low-income patients or Medicaid reimbursement don't exist. And so there are already communities in other parts of the country that are tracking higher pregnancy rates, higher birth rates, higher STD rates, higher HIV rates, because a Planned Parenthood has been defunded. And I can't say that's happened here, at least not yet. But if you go look on the Centers for Disease Control website, there are some very new research results about the teen birth rates across the country, with some of the newer birth control methods that are more long-lasting and reversible. I don't know if you've heard of these. We call them LARCs, long-acting reversible contraception, IUDs, and implants that are extremely effective. And with increased access to them, which we usually offer in our health centers, women, especially women on Medicaid, are able to get the finest and most effective birth control available, that's approved by the FDA, of course. And here in Connecticut and others are not, there aren't other providers really easily accessible.
The biggest threats Planned Parenthood faces to its existence is the repeal of Roe v. Wade and subsequent defunding. Faced with a conservative executive branch and Congress, Planned Parenthood faces a harsh threat. In order to combat this, the average citizen must stand up against these possibilities. Donating to Planned Parenthood and providing them funds in the face of federal defunding, volunteering at centers, acting as an escort to visitors are all fixes that the average person can do. Dispelling misinformation and denouncing fake videos in order to stop the slander is also of paramount importance. In order to change the minds of the populace, the supporters of Planned Parenthood must make an active effort to dispel these fallacies. When it comes to legislative action, the average citizen faces an arduous ordeal. The best route to change we have, without the majority in Congress or representation in the executive branch, is writing to your representative about how important Planned Parenthood is to the community. Whether they are liberal or conservative, the care Planned Parenthood provides outside of abortion helps the community greatly. Even further, using special interest groups to lobby courts for the benefit of Planned Parenthood employs political aggregates to our advantage. Focusing on the repealment of the Hyde Amendment, which prevents federal funding from going to abortion-related services. Funding pro-choice politicians, and most importantly, vote in the 2018 elections to get Democratic representation back to a majority in Washington.
I have confidence, honestly, that the women of America will not let that happen. We will not. Donald Trump notwithstanding Speaker Ryan and the whole slew of them. We are not going to let that happen.
All right, well, I hope that stands true.
And you need to help us.